It's kind of a follow-up question to his question before, like if everyone can attain arahathood and reach nirvana, then like I know there's like countless beings in the world, but like if people keep if like creatures keep becoming like
Arahant.
Achieve
And then
nirvana, and like I don't know what happens after that, but like they probably don't come back. I don't know. But like, wouldn't that mean there's like less and less beings?
You're worried about that?
No, I don't. I'm just wondering like, if that's illogical. Like that's.
But I think it's illogical to me because it's impossible. How many beings we are in the universe? Countless, right? Yeah. And that's almost impossible that everybody can be arahant, because looking at the nature of beings, and be arahant that completely have to cut off all this is almost like 0.0. No, I never worry about that,
I guess like the reverse side of that question is like, do beings get created out of nowhere? Like, we keep reincarnating and stuff, but like it's still like, I don't know, it's still like you. There's still like your soul or something. I don't know if that actually exists according to Buddhism, but like that's still you reincarnating. Like, do beings get created out of nowhere to like start this process, or is it like all the beings out there are the beings out there, and it's just people just continue to become arahat over time?
No. I put it this way. It's understand that. Well, firstly, and according to Buddhism, to be arahant is really, really difficult. Okay, to be arahant is the same as to be the Buddha. It's just only because you were late today. I mean, just like being a Buddha is different. It's only Buddha had to exist when there's no dharma, when there's no teachings going on. But when there's a teaching going on, anyone who becomes like a Buddha, we call that an arahant. Yeah. Okay, all right. So it's very rare. That's the reason why we think it's very rare. And also not many people, even they might have this kind of idea thinking that they want to be a Buddha, but if you really look at it, the qualification you need to do is huge, difficult, right? But it's always good to have the aim, because if you have aim, you one day will reach it. But if you don't have an aim, you always just run, like running about, never reach to that destination. So that's in other words, in Buddhist understanding, that's not possible that many people can be arahant, at least. Within our lifetime, now we see, if you can see one arahant, two arahant, you are really blessed already, like highly, highly, highly blessed.
I think not even arahant. The Buddha once saying that the chance of you become a human in your next life is just like the thirst on my head. The chance of losing your body form as a human is like the earth of the earth.
Okay, that's a good point, thank you.
Right.
Actually, there's one simile, it's not a hand, I remember. The simile was about like a turtle who is blind under the sea, and the blind turtle only will, the turtle have to breathe on the surface of the sea, but that old turtle, powerful turtle, only just breathe every 500 years. He just go up to breathe. But, so rare that when the turtle wanted to breathe, and when his head, kind of like appear on above the sea, and his head just go through a hole of the log of the wood plant, right? So how is it possible? That's possible, of course. Is it higher chances? Very low chances, right? That 500 years the turtle had to rise down, and it has had to go through the whole of the plank, right? So then the Buddha say, just like being a human, when a person can be a human, that kind of chances is like that. So that's why, that's actually you could say, but that was actually from when the Buddha was told to Alanda. And he said, Alanda, do you know? So that's a way to encourage, saying that, look at, you can be a human, such a rare chance, you definitely have to cherish being a human, that do a good thing, like that. So even that, imagine that be arahant. Okay, that's how the Buddhists understand you could say the life circle. Yeah.
So do new beings get created in the universe or not?
No, the Buddhism do not talk in the first cause. When you say the first cause, means someone who can create anything. Buddhism do not. But you could say that every being is actually from the beginnerless. Or if you look at the universe in the round, not in the straight line. So actually, it's there already. It's just only the beings is always in a different form. Okay. Like it's almost on the material. When you say the material, there was certain kind of material. When the certain kind of material under different pressure, under different circumstances, it changed different kind of material, right? I'm sure you know. Even now and then, when you look physics and chemistry, it's the material. If you have given them a certain kind of thing, it will change the form, right? The same thing as a human. But you could not say who created material. That's why we always use the word, especially in Mahayana Buddhism, because in early Buddhism we did use that very few times, but mostly Mahayana say from the beginnerless, 就无始以来 in Chinese. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Now we can go to ordination and the Buddhist monastic ideal. Now, let's look at what the ideal are they. Maybe one day when you become a monastic member, and then you know that what is idealism is about. I think you want to read? Okay, then it's your turn.
Oh, okay.
On page 87, ordination and the Buddhist monastic ideal.
Yeah. Ordination and Buddhist monastic ideal. According to tradition, becoming a Buddhist monk could initially be accomplished without much ceremony. Going forth,
Pravajja,
from the household life into homelessness and ordination
Upasambhata.
Involved only a request to the Buddha and its acceptance by him with the words, "Come, monk, well taught is the Dharma. Live the spiritual life for the complete ending of suffering." Subsequently, going forth and ordination proper or distinguished as two distinct ceremonies. By undergoing the former ceremony of Pravajja, one becomes a novice, Shramanera, while the latter ceremony of Upasampada renders one a bhikkhu proper.
Bhikshu.
The ordination and discipline of the Buddhist nun, Bhikshuni, follows essentially the same pattern.
Okay. Anyone, do you want to read? Maybe you. The next one, the Theravadin.
The Theravadin Vinaya specifies that the candidate for Pravrajya.
No, Pravrajya. Vraja.
Must be old enough to scare crows away, usually taken as meaning 7 or 8. Going forth involves formally requesting that a monk of at least 10 years standing becomes one's preceptor.
Upadhyaya.
And teacher.
Acharya.
The novice's head is shaved and he puts on ochre robes.
Yeah.
He then recited the formula of going for refuge to
refuge
to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and takes the 10 precepts or rules of training.
Shiksha.
1, to refrain from harming living creatures. 2, to refrain from taking what is not given. 3, to refrain from all sexual activity. 4, to refrain from false speech. 5, to refrain from intoxicate that causes heedlessness. 6, to refrain from eating after midday. 7, to refrain from attending entertainments. 8, to refrain from wearing jewelry or using perfumes. 9, to refrain from sleeping on luxurious beds. 10, to refrain from handling gold and silver.
All right, next one. One becomes
a candidate.
I think maybe over there maybe better. We usually do this. Like it make a string, okay?
One become a candidate for all ordination at the age of 20. The Usampada ceremony requires the participation of at least 5 properly ordinated bhikkhus.
Ordained.
Bhikkhus of at least 10 years standing. For someone over the age of 20, the Pararaja and the Upasampada may be performed together at one occasion.
Yeah, you can continue. Yeah.
At the end of this ordination ceremony, a Buddhist monk is informed that the 4 basic resources
Nisraya
that he can count on for the 4 requisites.
Parikara.
Food, clothing, lodging, and medicine are the food offered to him. As rope made of discarded wax and the food and the foot of the tree and a fermented urine respectively. Another list of the requisites allowed the monk 8 items as he personal possession. These 3 ropes, a long bolt, a razor, a needle, a bell, and a water strainer.
All right, thank you. And the next one? Yeah.
The idea of the Buddhist monk then is a one who steps out from ordinary society. His appearance is different, his head is shaved, and he wears monastic robes. He renounces the ordinary household life of wife, children, and family, and takes a vow of complete sexual abstinence. In adopting the way of life of the monk, he abandons any positions of means of
profession.
Any professions or means of livelihood. His personal possessions are minimal, and for the little he can expect in the way of creature comforts, he is dependent on generosity of others.
All right, thank you. And
Well, in the course of the Sangha's long history in India and beyond, there has been some adaptation and local variations have developed. The basic pattern of ordination set out in the Vinaya remains relevant to the monastic traditions of the Theravada Buddhism, East Asian Buddhism, and Tibetan Buddhism. The most visible variation is the Theravadan monks wear orange or brown robes, while the monks of the East Asia wear gray or black robes, and the monks of Tibet wear maroon robes. In Tibet, and sometimes in China, there has been a tendency for a considerable proportion of the Sangha to remain as Shramaneras and never take full ordination. In China, Pravajara ordination has been extended by separating initial tonsure, sometimes by many years, from formal taking of the 10 precepts, while higher ordination has usually involved, in addition to the rules of the
Pratimoksha,
taking the 58
Bodhisattva
vows set out in the Chinese Brahma's Net Sutra, Fan Wang Jin. In Southeast Asia, temporary ordination as a monk for a year or even just a few months has become widespread.
All right, thank you. The next one? I think we can just finish that first, yeah. After Upasampada.
We're going this now?
Change
this every time. After Upasampada, one becomes a bhikshu, a Buddhist monk proper, and as such, one's life is governed by the complete set of rules which constitute the pratimoksha. The precise number of rules that make up the monk's pratimoksha varies. For the Theravada, there are 227 rules. For the Mula Sravastivada, followed by the Tibetans, there are 258. For the Dharmaguptakas, followed in East Asia, there are 250. But the basic structure of the rules and the individual rules involving serious offenses are held in common. In principle, the rules simply elaborate a way of life based on keeping the 10 precepts of the novice, distinguishing between serious and less serious breaches of these precepts. In this way, the rules fall into 8 categories. 4 offenses involve defeat,
parajika, expulsion from the sangha, sexual intercourse, taking what is not given, killing another human being, and falsely laying claim to spiritual attainments of any sort. These four parajika offenses map out the theoretical basis of the monastic way of life: celibacy and reliance on the generosity of lay support. The failure to keep this vow of celibacy undermines one of the defining characteristics of the Buddhist monk. He has renounced the ordinary household life of wife, children, and family. Furthermore, sexual abstinence is associated with channeling one's energies towards spiritual attainments. To seek to solve the problem of suffering by killing other human beings is the grossest manifestation of greed, hatred, and delusion. To take from society what is not freely given betrays the fundamental relationship of trust between the monk who undertakes to live the life of the ascetic wanderer and those who in good faith offer their material support. Since any monk thought to be spiritually accomplished is likely to become the object of lay admiration and even devotion, to lie about spiritual attainments equally betrays the trust of lay supporters.
All right, thank you. And okay, the second category of rules. I don't know, I didn't know that you had to learn this. Okay, the second.
The second category of rules comprises 13
Sankhya Vasesa. Sankhya.
Offenses which are punishable by a period of probation involving loss of full status as a member of Sangha. This involves sexual impropriety of various sorts, as well as the building of certain types of dwelling, making false accusations, promoting schism in the Sangha, refusing to accept the admonishment of the Sangha, and corrupting families. The 13th Sanghavasisas are followed by two further rules concerning charges of possible sexual impropriety, whose penalty is not fixed but must be determined by the Sangha according to the circumstance. Next comes 30 Misaki.
Now you improve very good now.
Which mostly concern improper use of drugs, money, balls, and medicine. The offense should be confessed and the item given up. A further 90 or 92 minor Payatika rules prohibit various kinds of lying, physical violence, and abusive speech, as well as further regulating the use of monks' requisites and his conduct in a monastery or in the presence of women. Breaches of this rule only requires confession. A further 4 miscellaneous offenses merely require confession.
Good.
The category of minor rules of training,
Shiksha.
varies from 66 to 113, depending on the recensions of the Vinaya, and covers the general decorum and manners of a monk as he eats, walks, dresses, and so forth. The Bhikshu Pratimoksha concludes with 7 rules concerned with the settling of disputes. Traditionally, all members of Sangha in a given locality gather on 19th
Posata
days, the days of the new and full moon, to recite the rules that make up the Patimoksha and to confess any duty.
Okay, all right. Any question, any comment?
The fermented urine.
What is that about?
What?
The fermented urine as medicine.
Oh.
What is the question about that?
Page 88.
Yeah, I know, but what's the question about that?
Do they really drink the urine? Yeah, is that really what
No,
it
it's a rule that if you get sick and in that, in the old day, that one kind of the medicine is that the fermented urine, it believed that it could cure the sickness.
Is it natural fermentation?
Yeah, natural fermentation.
Just leave it.
I think sometimes they take it mostly from a horse, maybe. I cannot remember. Yeah.
So it's
Not a human. The horse, I guess. That's how I remember, because I never care about that much anyway. It's just an old way, they have the medicine. Yeah. Yes.
I think I never given one of those for somebody. I think nowadays they give you something else. I have everything like what it was mentioned: 3 ropes, alms bowl, razor, needle belt, and water strainer, but not the urine. I don't really remember. I have the review.
No, it's just they will give you medicine as a symbolic, as a medicine. Yeah. Any other? Yeah.
So tonsure is only done in China.
Tonsure. No. Tonsure doesn't mean that. Tonsure means 戒师啊。Tonsure means 戒疤吗？
I thought it was related to Jie.
Let me see. I didn't understand. I didn't read the Chinese translation. Let me. Where is it? I know that mentioned. Where is it? To remain.
Page 88, from bottom 7.
Tonsure 只是说剃头嘛。
Yeah, extend by separation, initial tonsure. It doesn't mean no. That was later the Chinese. It was they said because the king later ordered the monks to do that tonsure, to do that kind of thing. Yeah, because so that you can separate yourself whether you are a fake monk or you're a true monk. Only the true monk you have that kind of courage to.
That's only happened in China.
Yeah. That was also because it changed later also. The same as the Thai people. The Thai, you actually in originally you don't have to shave your eyebrow, but then the Thai tradition you shave your eyebrow now, because they have the time that they have the war between the Burmese and then the Thai, and then the so-called spy monk, and then they might stay in the temple because in old day, right? So and then the Thai king ordered them any Thai monk had to shave the eyebrow, but the Burmese man don't. Then he's a Burmese. It's not the Thai.
And also, I just want to bring up that if you nowadays you can just go online and read the Bhakti Moksha or Bhakti Moksha. There's no mention about vegetarianism. So if you only find the vegetarianism here mentioned the Bodhisattva vows.
Yeah.
The 58 Bodhisattva vow from the Chinese Brahmanet Sutta. So that's basically explain why the Chinese monks and nuns have to practice vegetarianism instead of the Tibetan and Theravada monks.
So Danwanjing is only in China.
Yeah. No, but that even not in Tibetan also. Yeah. Okay. Any other or anything? A comment? Any question? No. Oh, by the way, I need to come. Yes, you said it first. Yeah.
No, I was just wondering, is it hard to follow all of this if you're just kind of coming in?
No, I think actually the rule is not very hard. I mean, not to lie, not to kill, not to steal, and of course, I think that for young people, maybe the hardest is no sexual sexual kind of thing, maybe. Once you offend on those things, of course you have to expel from the sangha. I guess that's a main topic. Even nowadays, if you want to frame a monk or nun, you just accuse them having a sex, whatever. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not true. I can tell you exactly because I knew some of my friends. They've been framed, But of course, they also have to make a mistake because they didn't take care of themselves well. Some women are very crazy. They like to seduce monk because once they can seduce monk, they think they are victory. So.
Like in the Chinese novel 西游记.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, it's because, and usually I find this kind of problem is because when the women were divorced, or when they were not very happy with their husband, and then somehow anyway, whatever reason. So I'm not here to say only the women problem, but you know what I mean by like that. And some people are very crazy too. So and the monks sometimes are very naive. So and then when somehow after one time, two time, many time when they meet and then they talk and suddenly the heart will just fell, because they're naive. They don't know how in the society how many women are around the world, right? Okay, don't. Okay, let's change the subject.
And also,
yes. Yeah.
I found it's very interesting. Just in case you are trying to find a job, you can be a steward for a bhiksu, because I think Jen just brought up the issue like monk not supposed to handle money, but he could have a steward doing that for him. And the good news is that for that steward, if he later on he want to just take away the money, and he could do that. The monk not supposed to bring up anything. He could just leave with the money, and the monk's not supposed to do anything with it.
No. Anyway, don't say this thing. That's the reason why in Chinese Buddhism we have different problem, but in the Pali Buddhism they have different problem. The steward always corrupt all the monks. They took all the money.
The monk is supposed to shouldn't say any word.
Because they should not be attached to that. But of course, now changed now. But anyway, yeah. Hey, why you bring this something? Yes.
I have a question about the Japanese monk. Because the government rule that they have to get married. What is going to happen to the Japanese Buddhism?
I don't know. I cannot talk about this big subject. All Japanese people are going to condemn me.
I have asked this question to my Japanese priest, and I think the reason why, they didn't breach any rules because they didn't take
the Bodhisattva rule. I don't know. The bhikkhu. They don't have upasampada.
They don't have upasampada, so they don't observe the monastic codes for bhikkhus.
Actually, before that happened many years ago, if you look at the history, the Tentai school actually was the first one who was suggesting that they should abandon the upasampada. That means the bhikkhu and the nuns' ordination. They only want them to follow the Bodhisattva rule. But it was not success in those days. But anyway, according to his understanding, and even he really did that during the 8th century. He really did that, I think it's 8th century if I was not wrong. So he really did that in his monastery in the Birui-san, okay, in the Heiyang, is it? I forgot in Japanese how to say Birui-san. Yeah. So they practiced there and without Upasampada. But however, that the Fa Shi Zui Chen, and then he need to abandon that system too, because then he found out that when all his so-called his monk, so-called his system, the monks when they go to the city with the nara, in those days nara monk are the highest, like a traditional, like the center of the monastic. So and they always treat them like a lay people because they don't have upasampada, right? So that's why he kind of like forced himself again change. Otherwise, they have no status among the monastic system. So and then the upasampada was going still keeping on. But like you say, and later on, then the Japanese, for some reasons, because their culture is different, so they will force the monk have to be actually to marry. So in other words, they have to ask them to abandon the upasampada. And then why the Japanese can carry the idea? Some suspect because that time, in earlier time, they were very strong school, the Tentai school. He was really opposing that idea to the king, but it was not accepted by the majority in the society at the time. That abandon the upasampada, I mean others, the monks' vinaya, but only observe the bodhisattva vinaya. So that in bodhisattva vinaya, there's no rule you cannot marry. But of course, there's a rule that you might be happy to be kind of like half. It's not 100% rule of vegetarian also. Just saying that since we have a good compassion, so why not we, out of the compassion, we don't want to kill everyone, so being not eating the meat. They have that mentioned, but it's not like a strict rule in a way that like nowadays people thinking. But definitely there's a encouraging, yeah.
So
yes.
About the no sexual intercourse, like I don't know if this is like rumor or something, but I seem to vaguely remember that like in Tibetan Buddhism there are some beliefs in like shuangxiu.
Yeah, okay, that's another thing. I think this we didn't discuss here. Maybe that we don't have to brought it up on. Yeah, but depends. Some research understanding that kind of practices was, but it's for sure. If you look at the Indian culture, that kind of practice actually before Buddhism there. I mean, not before. Before Tibetan Buddhism came to being, they were there already in the forest. Like sannyasi. Sannyasi means people who live in the forest. People live in the forest, they have that in Hindu, or I won't say Hindu, like a folk religion in India, they have those kind of practices. Because they believe the Shiva god and his wife, Parvati, so they also have kalpas, too. And they have their own like spiritual practices. But of course, then later on, one part of Tibetan Buddhism also take that as kind of Buddhism also. Somehow, I don't know. But definitely that was never existing like in the Chinese Buddhism, like they would translate into Chinese at the time, never have that. Definitely not in the early Buddhism like a Pali, you don't have those any evidence of having those kind of practices.
So that tradition got to Tibet just together with like...
No, I mean, Tibetan, of course, they don't believe. They thought that the social, one of the Buddha give that kind of teachings, like not the physical body of the Buddha, but the body of the Buddha, like divine being, like a divine body of the Buddha, give those kind of teaching for very advanced practitioner. That's how they believe. But if you look at history, or if you look at, that's how the religious world believe, right? But then if you look at the research or the history belief, that kind of practice is not only in Buddhism. Even before that Tibetan Buddhism, so-called Tibetan now, they borrow that. I don't mean Tibetan Buddhism, I mean all like that. Part of that. Tibetan Buddhism, they have the practice, but that kind of practice actually in the folk religion in India, they have that already. So in other words, you could say there was a kind of like, somehow maybe in a certain form of Buddhism had borrowed this kind of thing into their practices also. So, okay. But that which you don't find in any other, like you don't find in any other tradition, like in Chinese. Even we are talking about textual wise, not even mentioned in the text in Chinese language or even in Pali. Never. Yeah.
So like, sorry, one more question. Like, also on that, like, do you only get expelled if you actually had sexual intercourse, or is it like if you touched women at all? Like,
so that's when you touch a woman, and so that's why you say, and then you fall into the rule. You fall in the rule. It's called the Sangha Disesa, like in the page 89, second paragraph. The second category rules comprises 13 Sangha. In Sanskrit, it's called Sangha Vasesa. In Pali, it's Sangha Disesa. Yeah. So, but then also that also depends. Sometimes you touch the woman, or you touch somebody, and then they accuse you of sexual abuse. Then, for example, and then sometimes you need to make sure whether he did it intentionally or non-intentionally, right? I have this experience, not me, I mean, helping some other people when they have been accused that a certain nun say that the monk touched her. But after, and then everybody want to expel this monk. Actually, you find it very funny, they want to expel the monk, the reason is because they didn't like the monk. Sometimes people like to make their story because they don't like the monk. But the monk actually is a nice monk, he's just only rude because he used to be a Kung Fu monk, he doesn't learn Buddhism very well. And then when during that kind of what we call the Kamatara, I mean having the gathering and discuss about that, whether they need to expel. And according to Vinaya, we cannot expel him because he was not breached the rule of being a student in the school, but there was touching that and there was no confirmation that he really deliberately did that. So after when you asking the question many times of the nun, and you found actually she was not sure whether he was deliberately, because she was just standing along the like a place, and the monk would just pass by, and the monk had the hand touch on her, some part of the body, and she thought that was monk deliberately touching her, of course that. Anyway, so later on we found out, looks like that was not true. The monk didn't even know he touched anybody, because the monk is really restless. That he didn't know when he walked his hands like that. Anyway, yeah, no, that was not. That was if that was really he deliberately touched it, that would be in Sangha discession. But he was not deliberately touched it, and then he would be in a category of other thing. It could be called saisha. It could be in what we call this nisagya. Depends.
But in that case, the nuns could be offended in the category Sangha discession, because she is trying to get the monk disrobe.
Yeah, if we know that she would intend like that, she would be in Sangha discession.
Yeah, she will be offended.
Yeah.
She will just what you can breach the Sangha discession, one of the rules. So the monk's not supposed to arrange marriage and stuff. So that's also Sangha discession.
Yeah.
So what about like with modern technology and like looking at pictures or watching videos and stuff, like is that punishable too, or
no? I mean,
as long as you don't interact with anyone else.
No. I think that they're wrong. Actually, even the rule was like that, and there that we don't. The Samanera is different from the Bhikkhu also. Even the main rule is the same, but actually in the Bhikkhu rule, there's no strong sense of saying that you cannot watch this kind of thing. You're adult already. So maybe it's certain, but still, your main purposes on your practices. Definitely, not your job is not going to scene or entertainment all the time. But as a novice, it's different, because they just become a novice. You need to have them to have a good training, not going to see entertainment. Usually in the old days, the novices, because they were little kid, they were young. Kind of like the kid, don't let them to spoil it, just only looking for the entertainment. They need to study, learn, and work harder, When become adults, so they know. You have to understand in the old days in India, the entertainment, what kind of entertainment are they also. So, of course, it's just singing and dancing, Why you ask a novice monk to be singing and dancing, But when they become adult, that's a different kind of rule, yeah. But the novice is different. The novice, when they attend that, they need to confess to the teacher. Yeah. But for the bhikkhu, if they offend that, they just have to tell that I offend that. It's not a big deal, basically. No. Yeah. Any other questions? I never know that. Those are questions. But I need to say one thing also. We have a little break, I think. I didn't know that actually time flies. Good. I thought this is a boring subject, But we must also understand other thing which I need to mention. It's an important point. It's on page 86. We must also understand on the first paragraph. So when the Buddha actually, after he has kind of like a general belief, after when he have trained 60 people become arahant, actually altogether 61, including he himself. Arahant means the one who cut off reincarnation, right? All the defilement cut off. So, and he asked the monks, but there's two translation here, but here he translate any for that, but later on people prefer the other translation. Let me see where is it now.
Lovely in the beginning, that one.
Yeah.
Middle of the first paragraph.
Yeah. But here it say, he's instructing his growing group of the newly awakened monastic followers, there are 60, to set off never two by the same way. Actually, but because of the Pali language reason, we never know it means never two or never not two. That means never two means one, right? Or actually you have to be two. But the later version prefer that you have to be two, not only one. Because the later version, especially to do with the bhikshuni, the nun. Of course, maybe you could argue the nun is different, because the nun, if they go alone, it's very dangerous. But they at least have the two nuns goes together. Okay. Anyway, so depends. But there are two translations. One means never two or even never one. Okay. By the same way, to teach Dhamma that is lovely in the beginning, lovely in the middle, and lovely in the end, So in other words, actually that's how the Buddhist statements always begin. Why the Buddhists have the missionary, you could say. You know, the word missionary is not to convert people to be anything, but rather than for the benefit and happiness of the many, out of sympathy for the world, for the good benefit and happiness for the gods and men. Okay, that is what the mission. You could say if there's any mission statement from a Buddhism to begin, that's the mission statement. You know.
What the gods means here?
Yeah, the gods mean, you know, yeah, because of course cosmologically depends. I mean, now in America people think the gods, it's just a symbolic means somebody who are advanced. But actually, if you look at the traditional way or old way to understand the gods mean the divine, you know. Yeah.
So does this mean that like spreading his teachings and like
for the sake of happiness of the other.
Right. Like that's like in the core of like Buddhism.
Yeah.
Instead of, because like my original understanding, like in China, most monks and nuns live in the monastery, and I don't think they like set off as much to like go to different parts where people haven't heard of Buddhism and teach quite as much.
Yeah. I mean, I understand what you mean, but well, that's another big question. But anyway, that definitely had to do with the temple itself, how they really think about the mission, right? But that's what I'm saying. You must understand. Sometimes when you study Buddhism, not only Chinese, any traditional Zen, they forget actually the earlier Buddhist mission is this. Okay. Sometimes you know, due to you want something yourself become powerful, whatever, you change that. But still, that's the reason why you learn this book. I mean, that's the reason why you learn Buddhism. And in a basic teaching is that's actually the early Buddhist mission is that when the Buddha have the 60 arahant or under him, or you could say 61 altogether, so that they are the perfect person already. And then that's how the mission statement. The Buddha say, go, either one or either two, but then you have to propagate the Dharma, the teachings. Then what's the purpose? The purpose for the benefit of the people and benefit of the gods. Yeah.
Is spreading the teaching part of the Vinayas?
No, Vinaya actually mean the rules.
Right.
That when you want to join the orders, that it's not a Vinaya.
So you're not required to like teach
No.
others.
No. For example, let's say you've been employed by the company, right? Yeah. And then there's a Vinaya of the company, the rules of the company. You cannot smoke here. You don't have sexual abuse here. You don't blah, 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 right? You don't steal the money, right? And so forth, right? But maybe you're employed in the company, your main purpose to do your job of the duty, like, I don't know, let's say you're an accountant, then you need to do the accounting well, right? Right, that's your mission, right? Maybe best to say the mission of the company is to earn money, to do that, that's a mission. But that is not in the Vinaya, no, definitely not in the rule. You don't put in the rule. Maybe it goes with the rule. I mean, that they would not sound contradictory. Yeah, sometimes you can say that benefit for the people. It means that you behave well is benefit for the people too. You're not grouping for women, like that is also called behaving a good, good behaving, right? Yeah.
Is there ever a woman arahant?
Yeah, now there are many.
Oh, okay.
There are many.
Oh, is it in the Chinese Buddhism where it says woman has cultivated less than men and hence cannot become a Buddha or something like that?
Not only in Chinese, if you read the next chapter.
Next
paragraph.
Woman cannot be Buddha.
Next
Right?
paragraph,
Yeah.
yes.
But
Okay, but they can become arahant.
But the next one.
They can become arahant. And then the note on the Buddhist nuns, right? Okay, why don't we just finish that one and then we end of today's chapter.